Imagine hearing about an entire civilization so advanced, so wealthy, and so powerful that it disappeared without leaving behind a single confirmed trace. Not a village, not a kingdom, an entire civilization. For more than 2,000 years, researchers, explorers, and expeditions searched across continents and oceans for Atlantis. Some became convinced they were only miles away. Others believed it had never existed at all. Yet the mystery refused to disappear. The story begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BCE, Plato wrote the dialogues Timaeus and Critias, describing a magnificent island civilization unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. According to him, Atlantis was extraordinarily wealthy, filled with enormous temples, vast canals, sophisticated infrastructure, fertile lands, and a powerful navy that dominated nearby seas. But he also claimed something even more astonishing. According to Plato, Atlantis grew proud. Its rulers became consumed by power, and in response, catastrophe struck. In a single day and night, Atlantis vanished beneath the waves. No confirmed ruins, no surviving records from its own people. Only one story remained. For centuries, many dismissed Plato's account as nothing more than a myth. Yet, archaeology has repeatedly shown that history can be full of surprises. Cities once believed to exist only in ancient legends have eventually been discovered, forcing historians to rethink what was once considered impossible. And that's where this mystery takes an unexpected turn. Because over the last century, discoveries beneath the sea, and even beneath volcanic islands, have led some researchers to wonder whether Plato's extraordinary story may have contained more truth than anyone once believed. If Atlantis was real, where would anyone even begin looking? That question has driven explorers, historians, and archaeologists for centuries. Plato left behind only a handful of clues. According to his account, Atlantis existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the ancient name most scholars associate with the Strait of Gibraltar. It was described as a powerful island civilization that eventually vanished beneath the sea. Those details sparked one of history's longest treasure hunts. Researchers studied forgotten texts, explorers crossed seas, archaeologists compared ancient ruins with Plato's descriptions, hoping that somewhere one overlooked clue would finally reveal the truth. Again and again, excitement grew around promising discoveries. Again and again, the evidence failed to tell the complete story. Despite centuries of searching, no location has ever matched Plato's account in every detail. Still, the search never stopped, because every generation uncovered another place that seemed almost too perfect to ignore. One of those places stood in the heart of the Mediterranean, a volcanic island whose ancient civilization was devastated by one of the most powerful eruptions in recorded history. Its ruins revealed advanced buildings, sophisticated infrastructure, and a thriving society that disappeared almost overnight. For many researchers, it felt as though the search might finally be over. The island was Santorini. The similarities were difficult to ignore. Then the theory ran into one impossible problem. The discovery of Santorini transformed the search for Atlantis. For a moment, it felt as though the mystery might finally be solved. Beneath meters of volcanic ash, archaeologists uncovered the ancient city of Akrotiri, one of the best-preserved Bronze Age settlements ever discovered. Streets, multi-story buildings, sophisticated drainage systems, and vibrant frescoes had survived for thousands of years, frozen in time by the eruption. It was unlike anything researchers expected to find. The similarities were striking. A wealthy civilization, remarkable construction, a catastrophic natural disaster. An entire society brought to a sudden end. To many researchers, Santorini appeared to be the strongest candidate ever proposed. Then researchers noticed one contradiction. According to Plato, Atlantis lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, far beyond the Strait of Gibraltar. Santorini, however, lies deep within the Mediterranean Sea. The location simply didn't match. That single contradiction forced researchers back to the beginning. If Santorini wasn't Atlantis, then what had Plato actually described? Had he combined real events with imagination, or had the greatest clue in the entire story been misunderstood from the very beginning? Instead of solving the mystery, Santorini made it even more complicated. It showed that advanced civilizations really could disappear in catastrophic natural disasters, but it also showed that finding one remarkable lost city wasn't enough. The search for Atlantis was far from over. Once Santorini was ruled out, the search for Atlantis entered an entirely new phase. Suddenly, researchers were no longer focused on a single location. New locations around the world became possible candidates. Ancient ruins, strange underwater structures. Each new discovery sparked excitement. Every few years, another headline claimed Atlantis had finally been found. Some theories pointed to Spain. Others looked toward the Caribbean, the Azores, Antarctica, or deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. For a while, each proposal seemed convincing. Then researchers took a closer look at the evidence. Again and again, the same pattern emerged. Some sites were too young, others were too small. Many simply didn't match Plato's description. Every promising lead answered one question, only to create two more. As the years passed, an uncomfortable realization began to take shape. Perhaps the problem wasn't that Atlantis had never been found. Perhaps people had been searching for it in the wrong way. Instead of asking where Atlantis was, some researchers began asking a very different question. What if Plato's story had never been meant as a literal map? That single idea would completely change the investigation, because the biggest mistake may never have been overlooking Atlantis. It may have been misunderstanding Plato's story from the very beginning. The biggest mistake may never have been the search itself. It may have been the way people interpreted Plato's story. For centuries, many readers assumed Plato intended Atlantis to be a real place waiting to be discovered. But over time, another interpretation began to gain support. Atlantis wasn't simply a lost civilization. It was a warning. But here's the surprising part. Some historians believe Plato drew inspiration from real events, then reshaped them into a philosophical lesson rather than a historical account. Suddenly, the mystery wasn't just about finding Atlantis anymore. It became about understanding why Plato wrote the story in the first place. That doesn't mean the search ended. Far from it. Many researchers still believe Plato may have based his account on genuine historical events. Ancient civilizations really did disappear. Powerful earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis devastated entire communities throughout history. Over generations, memories of those disasters may have blended into a single extraordinary story. Neither theory has been proven. Atlantis may have been inspired by real places, transformed into a moral lesson, or perhaps a combination of both. And that's what makes the mystery so enduring. Even after centuries of debate, one question refuses to disappear. If Atlantis was only a story, why does it resemble so many real events from the ancient world? Because the deeper archaeologists explored history, the more they discovered something unexpected. Ancient cities really had disappeared beneath the waves, and for the first time, some of those discoveries made Atlantis seem just a little less impossible. It turns out, cities disappearing beneath the sea isn't just the stuff of legend. It's something archaeology has actually uncovered. Over the last century, researchers have discovered several ancient cities that spent hundreds, even thousands of years hidden beneath the water. One of the most remarkable is Pavlopetri, a Bronze Age city off the coast of Greece. Beneath the sea, archaeologists found streets, multi-story buildings, courtyards, and even tombs preserved in astonishing detail after thousands of years underwater. And Pavlopetri wasn't the only example. Off the coast of Egypt, archaeologists rediscovered Thonis Herakleion, once a thriving port visited by merchants, sailors, and rulers before it gradually disappeared beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Hidden for centuries, it remained lost until its remarkable rediscovery in the early 21st century. These discoveries changed the conversation. They showed that stories of cities lost beneath the sea were no longer just myths. They were genuine historical possibilities. But there was still one problem. None of these discoveries matched Plato's account completely. Each fell short in a different way. Some were too small, others too young, and many were simply in the wrong location. Once again, every discovery answered one question, only to create another. Perhaps Atlantis wasn't a single lost city after all. Perhaps it was a story inspired by several real places, blended together over time until history and legend became impossible to separate. Or perhaps the real Atlantis is still waiting to be found. Because despite centuries of exploration, no discovery has ever fully explained Plato's account. And perhaps that's why Atlantis has never stopped capturing our imagination. More than 2,000 years later, it remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. More than 2,000 years have passed, and we're still asking the same question. No expedition has ever uncovered definitive proof that Atlantis existed. Yet, no one has been able to prove it never did. Perhaps that uncertainty is the real reason the story has survived for so long. Was Atlantis a real civilization swallowed by nature, a distant memory of an ancient catastrophe, or simply one of the greatest stories ever written? The truth is, we still don't know. But history has a habit of surprising us. Again and again, archaeology has uncovered places once dismissed as myths. Cities thought to be lost forever have emerged from deserts, jungles, and even beneath the sea, reminding us that history still holds secrets waiting to be discovered. Maybe one day, new evidence will finally reveal what inspired Plato's extraordinary account. Or maybe Atlantis will always remain a mystery, its greatest power not in being found, but in inspiring people to keep searching. Because sometimes the most fascinating mysteries aren't the ones we solve. They're the ones that continue to challenge our imagination. And somewhere, beneath the waves of an ocean we still haven't fully explored, the answer may or may not still be waiting. If mysteries like Atlantis fascinate you, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Mystery Atlas because every week we explore another story where history, archaeology, and legend collide. Some mysteries are eventually solved. Others continue to inspire generations. Atlantis may be one of them.